Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spotlight by Ortigas Land. My name is Ben Redula, and I'm your host and anchor for the premiere episode of this program. This special broadcast and webinar is brought to you by Ortigas Land, a leading real estate developer in the Philippines with almost 9 decades of expertise in developing mixed-use communities in Metro Manila, which includes Ortigas Business District, one of the three largest CBDs in the metro, and Green Hills Center, which is the favorite shopping destination of balikbayans from all over the globe. Later in the program, we will be joined by representatives of its international sales team, led by their head of sales and assistant vice president, Rose Morales. To give you a background of Spotlight, it will be a series of light but insightful conversations with various organization leaders, influencers, and movers who are Filipinos living across the globe. For this first episode, our featured guests are from prominent Filipino-American community associations and chapters based in the U.S. East Coast. I'm privileged to introduce our special guests. We have our first guest is the president of Handang Tumulong Foundation, Inc., Dr. Winston O'Malley.
Hello.
And then we also have, hi Winston, we have our current chair of the National Federation of Filipino-American Association, or NAFA, New York chapter. We have Dr. Laura Garcia.
Hello.
Hello. And we have the state president of the Junior Chamber International New Jersey chapter and concurrently vice chair of NAFA, Mr. Stevenson De Rodar. Hi, Steve. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome, and thank you for giving us your time to be our guests. And, you know, we're very excited to hear from you. So the three of you are actually related one way or another in the medical profession. So tell us about your profession. How long have you been doing it? And maybe a quick story or anecdote that you can remember. Winston?
So me, as I said, after my training, I open up a practice from scratch. So bilang isang Pilipino na magsisimula ng isang practice, mahirap. Ako rin ang janitor, ako secretary. My first 6 months was really like, in all humility. And it's just that a lot of pediatricians around are already like with busy practices and like they were really accommodating, and they helped me, gave me all the tips, and then involving right away in the Jersey City public schools got me into, the entire idea that my work is a community work. It's not just simple private practice. So that's how I put up myself, ang mga pasyente. Of course, when they come in, I really make them feel good. As a matter of fact, dito sa Jersey City, isa ako sa mga all-Filipino team. So, ang mga talaga, tuwan-tuwa sila na pumunta sa office na, at home kami, Doc. Mabuti naman kung ganun po. Kasi yun ang aming goal. So, lahat ng masasabi ko lang, ang trabaho ko pati, hindi katulad ng mga ibang kasamahan, ay magsisimula ng 1:00 ng hapon. Okay. So, sa umaga, ay tatay ako, naghahatid. Kasi ganun kami tayo sa Amerika, di ba? We take care of our kids, hands-on tayo sa lahat. Walang katulong, walang chuper. Everything is tayo-tayo. So we take care of the chores at home. And so in the afternoon, I'm a physician from 1:00 to 6:00. And then after that, I take care of myself. I run and do other stuff. But the point is, you would have to learn how to handle a lot of things, just like what Steve's trying to do, is really to take care of the entire thing in a day and be as productive as can be. So that's how my day usually is, and I'm happy to be a pediatrician in Jersey City.
Okay, what about you, Laura? Tell us about your profession.
I've constantly worked um, in the clinical areas. At first, I was a nurse clinician, and for many, many years. And later, I have decided to switch gears, as I had mentioned, and become a, um, a an educator. But one of the things that actually um, stick to my mind when I first came to the United States was when I was in the labor and delivery unit, and I was a shy individual. I didn't want to speak unless spoken to, and I was so scared to pick up the phone to answer calls. And that's how
Yeah.
timid I was. And there was one time when I had to pick up the phone because it was ringing and ringing, and nobody was there. And the person on the other side had told me that my wife, because I was in labor and delivery, my wife is having contractions every 2 to 3 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
my supervisor suddenly came, and then she asked me, was that her first child? And I answered, well, no, I think that was her husband. When she was actually when she was actually referring, the person that I spoke to was of course the husband was
Husband.
spoken to, what I was speaking to, but he was referring to whether that was the first child of the pregnant woman. So there are so many funny incidents that I have experienced as a nurse clinician, and but these are things that are really precious. The
Mm-hmm.
most precious are the ones that I had mentioned about the joy of birth, of
Right, right.
the you know the screaming babies, and I would not trade that for the world, and I would do it over and over again. But of course, and now I've switched gears. I wanted to teach future nurses, and I wanted to teach future frontliners.
Mm-hmm. Great. And maybe at another time you can go back to being a ballerina, the who can write.
Wow, that would be great. Maybe yes, in
Yeah.
another life.
Great, great. What about you, Steve? Earlier you mentioned something about your patients. So tell us
Yeah.
about that.
I have been involved in the physical therapy service delivery for 10 years. I'm a physical therapist, and
Mm-hmm.
secondly, I am also a licensed real estate salesperson in New York City. And thirdly, I am also actively selling Philippine properties. And so, if I may just share something, right after college, actually, I already had a pending application in Pennsylvania, but then because real estate in the Philippines had me, and then I love the industry and I love it, and so I spent like 7 years before finally coming here. So until I really made the decision to finally make it, and then now I at least I'm doing both, to which I enjoy both. Mhm.
Wonderful. So since we're talking about your professions and you guys are you are frontliners in the medical field, so you are all heroes. I think everyone who's watching this cast or this broadcast is with me in believing that we are so thankful and that you guys are all heroes. So thank you for being our hero and keep doing that. And we hope that you stay strong and healthy. So now let's talk about your organizations, which is what a lot of our viewers now actually came here for. So I want to start with Doc Winston. So tell us about Handang Tumulong Foundation. So like what is it for? And tell us paano ba siya nabuo? No? How did it come about?
So, Handang Tumulong Foundation started as an offshoot of efforts of a group of community leaders in the tri-state area. In cooperation with the Philippine Consul General in New York, they grouped together and they tried to raise funds to help victims of Typhoon Frank back in 2008.
Hmm.
They created an ad hoc entity called Lakatulong, and then they tried to raise funds para ibigay sa mga victims. Kaso at that time, the problem there in that setup is that the money had to be collected first and then is sent sa Philippines or somewhere else. It takes time.
Right.
And yung idea doon is that they need the money right away. They need help right away. So after there were so many groups that participated in the tri-state. And then after that, naisip ng ilang members ng group na yun na why don't we create a foundation na we will do the opposite and we will prepare,
Mm-hmm.
raise fund right away and keep an existing emergency fund to be easily disbursed kapag kakailangan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how they created the Handang Tumulong Foundation Incorporated back in 2010. It was January na incorporate sila, and then naging 501c3 sila the following month, February. So ang role nila doon dito sa foundation na to is basically simple. Raise money at ibigay sa mga victims ng calamity. Simply said like that. And then handang tumulong, ready to help.
Right,
So
right.
put the Tagalog name in order to identify as Filipinos, right? Majority is Filipinos. So they started with 16 charter members at the founding president is Nelsie Parado. So from then on, from 2010, we are considered a public entity and we have successfully raised ready funds to date, which enable us to send immediate relief, monetary and in kind, and in most expeditious manner. So, mga 10 and a half years na ang handang tumulong, and with that, we were able to disburse 220, 602 US dollars to a lot of victims all over the world. Pero
Right.
primarily sa Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not under any statewide organization. Handang Tumulong is Handang Tumulong. And we are
So independent. It's a foundation. You mentioned earlier, Winston, about mas madaling magpadala ng money to the Philippines. So ano ba? I'm just curious, no? Ano yung ginagamit natin na channel? What is the fastest way to send money to the Philippines?
Ang majority ng pag-channel ng funds is through bank-to-bank wiring. And what we usually go through a process of, I'm gonna go to the mechanics now. So the mechanics of responding to this donor request is that we have a committee called the Disaster Relief Coordination Committee. So composed of 6 trustees na nagbe-vet doon sa request. They review the source of the need, and then once it represent nila sa board namin, and then once na prove na ang organization is really legit and the need is really imminent, so therefore we transmit the money na usually is about bank to bank, and from time to time there are also organizations who would try to sponsor, do the same thing, pero kung wala silang 501c3 status, sometimes they would use Handang Tumulong as a conduit para ibigay ang kanilang donation. So kami, halos eyes and ears lagi, oh, may bagyo. Oh, may this year, di ba? Taal.
Sunod.
Oh my God.
Correct.
Beirut, ngayon yung sa Beirut, we're working on Beirut at present.
Lebanon.
So talagang dapat lagi kaming all eyes, all ears for all these needs. As much as the funds are supposed to be also replenished, despite the limitations and restrictions that we're experiencing right
Mhm.
now, we have to be ready for them.
What are your most, how do I say this, notable or memorable activities or events na nangyari na in the past, or maybe you're cooking up right now?
So sige. Let's talk about last year, no? Last year was our 10th year anniversary,
Mhm.
and every year we are conducting the 5K run. This is our flagship fundraising event. I came to Handang Tumulong because I am an avid runner. So back in 2012, I volunteered for them as a medic, and then I also ran. And then the following year, they got me to be the race director. So we have been always raising funds by getting sponsors and avid runners to join and participate in this yearly event. This year is a little bit challenging because of the COVID-19. So we
Mhm.
have to conduct the 5K run as virtual. And
Mm.
exciting dahil nagkaroon ng konting liberty ang mga participants to do it on their own pace, time, and location, right? Of course, observing what the CDC requires us regarding social distancing.
Social distancing.
So we started this for this year. We started the 5K run project last July 3, and it will end on October 3. So it's a three month event instead of a 1 day thing in the
Right,
past
right.
years.
That gave you
And
more
the
time.
sponsors have always been delighted to join us. So from my other organizations like the Philippine Pediatric Society in America, HOOP, MASA, so many other groups in the community are always there to join us. So I'm happy that like the project itself is continuously being seen as an important event for such a cause.
Right.
Tapos Handang Tumulong also looks into cultural events as a way to raise funds.
Mhm.
Last year, we were able to tap three Filipino choirs,
Mhm.
and we did this tatlong koro, isang dugo, isang lahi. I'm part of the Philharmonic Choir, of which
Wow.
along with Kayumanggi Coral and the Bayanihan Singers, all from New Jersey.
Mhm.
So we were able to group together back in 2014 for Typhoon Pablo. Yun, nakakatawa yun kasi last minute yun, 2 weeks lang. Pero we were able to put together a nice concert sa Consulate, and we enjoyed each other. So from then on, we became friends. And to this last year's project, we were so happy that we were put up a nice concert during the Philippine Independence Month, which in
Mhm.
June. It
June.
was well attended. We co-sponsored, Handang Tumulong Foundation co-sponsored this project with UP AAA, Alumni Association in America. And so five Filipino organizations, one big event. A lot of Filipinos are happy to hear the voices of the choirs. And I'm so happy
Wonderful.
that I was really like at the middle of everything, from director to president to singer. I just parang trompo.
Maybe siguro in another broadcast,
Titingan
we
ako
can
doon.
invite you to be one of our singers while Laura does her ballerina
Yeah.
thing.
Pero masaya, masaya. So,
Mhm.
the Handang Tumulong Foundation has been a vibrant group, and yun nga, very simple ang structure. Maliit lang ang grupo, currently now composed of 17 trustees. So, ano lang kami, madaling mag-gel at mag-usap-usap at
Right.
magtrabaho.
Mhm. Winston, you mentioned earlier na you joined around 2012 as a medic because of yung running nga, no? So,
Oo.
but now you are the current president of the foundation.
Oo.
How long have you been the president of the foundation?
Ano,
And how is it like?
I've been the president of Handang Tumulong ng 2019. So, isang taon
Mhm.
kalahati na. But since we had some amendments in the Constitution, I guess I would have to at nasa kita ng amendment ng aking term, mapapa-extend siguro sa 2021, which I could not really because it was the majority's decision. But somehow, I'm enjoying my
Nag-chat
role.
pala sa inyo, chat
Yeah,
siya.
yeah. I'm enjoying my role. Nakakatuwa kasi ang laki ng range ng aming membership from batang-bata at mga senior citizens. Yung mga mga lolo, mga talagang very nakakatuwa kasi kahit paano maganda yung exchanges ng ideas para ka rin lang laging nasa isang malaking extended family. So to me, serving the group na iba-iba rin ang aming mga professions and everything else. Actually, sa Handang Tumulong, dalawa kaming doktor, si Dr. Dennis Bernardo. And everybody else has, full-time jobs. And talagang, and a couple of them retires too. So, pagka gana na ang grupo mo ay vibrant, as a president, you really have to always be all eyes, all ears, happy, jumpy, para masaya ang grupo. And somehow we're having a good time. And the months are passing by so quickly, like, wow, we are working more than ever.
Sounds like a really fun foundation to be part of. And speaking of that, if I want to be part of your foundation, if it's anybody who is probably maybe living in the New Jersey area or who wants to be part of your foundation, how does one join?
Ang pag-join sa foundation is by nomination. So ini-invite. So ang pagkaka-invite sa akin was maybe through my involvement in the beginning during my volunteer my services to Handang Tumulong as their race director. And then I was also nominated by a couple of the charter members who were my co-members in other organizations. So when I stepped in, I already felt the group kasi I've volunteered as their race director for their 5K. So kilala ko na silang lahat. So although of course going up the ranks because may mga nauna na sila leader, and I was just always there to help. Kaya nung it was my turn, they did not step away. They're still behind me. So bilang isang presidente, hindi ka naiiwan. Lagi kang nasa palibot ng mga lahat ng katulong mo. And that's how I think is gonna be something that always works. Even sa office, ganyan, hindi iwanan. Laging sama-sama.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that with us, Winston. Now I'm gonna go to Laura. Tell us about NAFA, and maybe give us a little bit of history of it. What's it about?
Okay, and thank you for this opportunity because I don't think a lot of people know about NAFA, especially in the Philippines. Even here in the United States, some people may not have heard about NAFA. So I'm very glad for this opportunity to shed light on what it is or what the organization is about. NAFA New York, which is where we are, where I am, is, or the National Federation of Filipino-American Associations of New York, is a state chapter of a big national federation. And the NAFA National is a federation of organized, which is organized into 14 regions comprising of different states, and we belong to the NAFA New York belongs to the Northeast region, and the other states that are under the Northeast region are Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And it started in 1997. There were actually 4 notable individuals or people who founded it. And the reason why I joined it is because of its mission and vision. I believe in its mission and vision, which is to promote the welfare and well-being of Filipino-Americans or Filipino Fil-Ams throughout the United States by amplifying their voices, advocating on behalf of their interests, and providing resources to facilitate their empowerment. And NAFA's vision is to have a unified, it's a tall order, a unified Phil community that is culturally, economically, and politically empowered and engaged. And in conjunction with its mission, the NAFA's vision is also to serve to serve as the voice of the Filipinos and Filipino-Americans by uniting, again, the word united, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, engaging and empowering diverse individuals, organizations through leadership development, civic engagement, and national advocacy. These are the three pathways or the portals through which NAFA plans their projects or their initiatives. And as I had mentioned, the organization is divided into 14 regions. We are in we belong to the Northeast region.
You mentioned earlier that you are a big chapter, okay, in that region of the Northeast. So how many members are we looking at, Laura?
Well, all our members, actually, we register them to the NAFA National. So what we are right now in the Northeast region, I mean, in the state of New York, is not as big as the national federation or the national group. But when we do have some individuals who have registered with us, and I think we have 2 organizations who have registered to us, but we've registered them to the national. And so we partner with our Northeast region. So our group is actually with the Northeast region. And we just revived the Northeast. I mean, not the Northeast. We just revived the NAFA state. It was in hiatus for many, many years, and we just revived it in 2015.
Right.
And I was a state chair at that time, and now I'm the chair. The state chair at that time was Stephen Raga, who is now very active in the political arena, and he's still one of our advisors. And I was just re-elected to have for my second term. The terms in this as an officer in NAFA is 2 years. So I'm on my second term, which is another 3 years. And in fact, Steve is actually the vice chair of the NAFA New York.
What I want to know is, what are the activities or projects that you have been doing in order for you to get to that point where there's a unified Fil-Am community?
Okay, first I want to go back to the 3 portals that I had mentioned, that wherein we patterned, or wherein we plan our activities, our projects, and our initiatives, and they are leadership development and civic engagement. And for leadership development, the EPIC program, or the EPIC stands for the Empowering Filipino Youth Through Collaboration, is a good example. And it was conceived in 2004 in San Diego, California, where young Filipino-American leaders came together and formed a coalition of student leaders, youth development organizations, and individuals passionate about empowering. And in the summer of 2017, NAFA launched its EPIC Ambassador Program. And what they do, they focus around, again, leadership development,
Mm-hmm.
civic engagement, or advocacy. And this can actually, this helps with empowering these youth, or the
Correct.
young ones. And we also have the civic engagement, which we're in. We do activities such as the Vote, wherein we encourage people to go out there and vote. We also educate about the Fil-Ams, about the importance of our civic duties and responsibilities, and to not just register, but go out there and vote. And because um, they can actually, they have the power to help shape our future by choosing the leaders whom they believe can shape the, um, the our future. And the there are several other activities that we do in the state level. In fact, in March 2020, which is just this past March, we collaborated with the Northeast region in launching the Census 2020.
Mm.
And as we all know, the census is very important. Again, I go back to being counted. We have to be counted. We have to, because if we don't get counted, we lose 2 seats in Congress. We lose funding for our communities. And of course, we will not be represented by the leaders who can help us um, with the many issues that we need, such as healthcare, education,
Correct.
and
Correct.
other civic issues.
I'm curious, Laura, about you were mentioning about census and about registering. So the figure escapes me right now, but how many Filipino Americans are there in the
Well,
US
it's
today?
actually, we are 4 million plus Filipino
4 million.
Americans. And so we are a big group, 4 million strong,
Mhm.
as we say, as our logo states. So yes, if we could encourage them to go out there and vote, we will be well represented, and we will have the funding that we need for our communities. And we will have, and if they go out to vote, the for the for the leaders who they believe can shape or change our future, then
Mhm.
that would be great.
Of course, 4 million, that's going to be a very powerful voice if every single one of you guys would actually be represented and go out to vote. Okay. So, Laura, about your being the chair of the chapter, you were saying earlier that this is your second term. Okay. So, what can you say about the experience, and maybe talk to us about your responsibilities also?
Yeah, sure. As I had mentioned, I was reelected um, to this position, and my experience has been awesome. I have learned valuable lessons along the way. I have worked with people who have the passion to serve. And personally, community service and participation have held a significant place in my life, in addition to being a clinician and an educator. I like the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
The more we are given responsibilities and opportunities for our varied talents, the better we become participating members of our community in particular, and the society in general. So when I was given the responsibility, I stepped up to the plate and said, yes, I will do the best I can in the capacity that I can. And the fact that I have a good team certainly makes my life work, or my job worthwhile, because a leader is only as good as his or her team, and I have an awesome team.
Mm-hmm.
So the as I had mentioned, the Census 2020, wherein we collaborated with the Northeast region, and currently we are planning, the Northeast region is planning to have another big meeting or a summit in October, and we will be assisting them with this project. And we will again be talking about film votes and to go out there and register and vote and choose the representatives whom they believe can help shape our future.
Thank you. Very well said. Very excited for you. And I hope that the turnout for the registration becomes like really high and that the power becomes a very powerful voice to reckon with. Thank you, Laura. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone tuned in to this broadcast, if you have any questions for our guests, you may type them on the chat box in your Zoom app or alternately in the Facebook Live broadcast. Our panelists will be answering them in real time. But before we go to our last guest, here's a video of one of the more recent residential offerings of Ortigas Land, Empress, at Capitol Commons.
When was the last time you slept like a baby? These days, we rarely give our minds a rest. And as a result, we often feel stress, easily overwhelmed, lost in thought almost half of our waking hours. And everybody just assumes, well, that's life. But it doesn't have to be this way. You need to switch off when you get home. We're used to busyness, but calm, that's new. You need your home to cultivate clarity. We need to find space for more contentment. It's time to treat the home as an investment in health and wellness. Step into the Empress life. The Empress is a 56-story residential building at the heart of Capitol Commons. It's one part social experiment, one part endless summer. The Empress is within the global urban community known as Capitol Commons, at the heart of the city. Capitol Commons will soon be even easier to reach, with a BGC Ortigas link that will cut travel time from 1 hour to 12 minutes. The Metro Manila Subway, the first ever underground rapid transit line, will run from north to south of Manila and will be the country's direct airport rail link to the international airport. The train stops at Ortigas North and Ortigas South, making the Empress at Capitol Commons accessible to all. The Empress has a biophilic design. This means natural materials, natural light, and greenery are built into the environment.
Collectively, we must shake up our thinking. Healthy homes are as important as immunizations. Parks, paths, and plants are as beneficial as prescriptions. Friends and neighbors are far more important than Fitbits.
Nature remains our magic well. The more we draw from its nourishing waters, the more we sustain the human body, mind, and spirit.
The Empress is designed to give you breathing space, to reset, to be present, for creative living or conscious parenting, for peace or exhilaration. Chromotherapy, also known as color therapy, is used to enhance the mood and improve the overall health of our residents. The reading room in red invigorates the mind, while residents lounge in rich blue hues creates a relaxing mood. Colors enhanced by water and light soothes or enhance the mood. What was once considered a novelty is now a true priority for the forward-thinking developer. The Empress is green building compliant. The open space is dedicated to plant life and flora. No harmful paints were used. Materials recovery facility and rainwater collection tank make the Empress a new Ortigas standard. And every home at the Empress has all the smarts. The home gateway connects the entertainment systems, state-of-the-art security, climate control which you can check on your phone. We must always change, renew, rejuvenate ourselves, otherwise we harden. To feel the wind in our hair, grass on our feet, nature helps ground us. And the Empress at Capitol Commons is the perfect home for finally living well.
Okay, welcome back. Now let us move on to our third guest, Steve Van der Roder. So Steve, hi, tell us about JCIA, so the global organization, and maybe a little backgrounder about it. And then after that, tell us about your very own chapter or your group in New Jersey.
Surely, privileged to do so. It was actually a time of great social transformation in 1915 when the founder, Henry Gissenbeer Jr., founded the Young Men Progressive Active Progressive Civic Association, and that was in St. Louis, Missouri. That was also the time when there was a rapid change, but there were limited resources. And so he founded it, and then it got the support of a lot of businesses. And then in 1920, it became national. And then in 1944, it became an international organization as a result of the Inter-American Conference. And so now, today, it has 200,000 members with over 10 million alumni network present in more than 120 countries and in over or close to 5,000 local communities. So in general, Junior Chamber International, we believe of our responsibilities, of our rights, and our goals as well. And so we enact on our sense of responsibility to work on our goals and through our projects to benefit our communities. And so our local chapter in North Jersey, which I belong, which I'm also a member of two other local chapters in New York, which is the JCI Manhattan and JCI Philippine New York. So I am actually a multi-chapter member, but at the
Right.
same time, I have been given this opportunity to lead. So the local chapter in North Jersey is very diverse in that because we think globally and we act locally, our membership are basically comprised of people who reside in the area, but there are also others who are not same as me. And so we work on our goals and projects as
Mhm.
set on our objectives on an annual basis.
Mhm. You mentioned, Steve, about the figure earlier, 200,000. So what percent of that, or how many would comprise the New Jersey chapter in terms of that 200,000?
Well, a regular chapter is actually about 20 members. So
Mm-hmm.
20 members or more, that's considered a regular member. And we comprise from diverse backgrounds and from all sectors of society. Some of us are finance people, some of us are lawyers, some of us are healthcare professionals, some of us are community organizers, but within the age of 18 to 40. So since I handle New Jersey, we have three chapters in New Jersey as a state, but I was also privileged to be the state president in New York, which we had over 10 chapters as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell us, Steve, about your chapter's the organizations and your chapter's advocacies, and if you can also tell us what have been your involvements so far, like maybe events or activities.
Surely, we align our activities through our four areas of development. That includes international affairs, individual development, business management, and also community development. So these areas are we cater to these areas for our projects. So projects like Sing for Hope, that is a fundraising for the homeless people. We do have projects for uh, peace promotion. We have projects for education, and we basically implement the UN developmental sustainable goals. So which are heavy, but those are
Mm-hmm.
being acted on our projects as part of our general advocacy.
Mm-hmm. So you have a lot on your plate right now, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You are actually the state president of JCI, and how long have you been its state president? How do you like it so far?
Yeah, I'm actually on my fifth month. You wouldn't believe that, but it's actually a 1 year to. When you're given a position for us in JCI, you're only up to 1 year, and then you proceed to another, and then you proceed to another, if that is allowable within your goals. And we have the age limit of 18 to 40. But prior to
Mm-hmm.
that, I have been also a state president, as I mentioned, in New York,
Yeah.
and I love the opportunities of being a leader, and especially for New Jersey, I love the fact that I am able to take part and to contribute to the sustainability of the organization, because right now we are in our 75th year, and we're so hoping that, of course, it could be sustainable as much as possible. So my goal for this year, or my theme banner, is actually one vision, one impact, one future. So all along those theme, my projects and my partnerships and all other efforts are geared towards that theme.
Mm-hmm. So, Steve, that's already a lot on your plate, being the state president. And you are also, as I mentioned earlier in the introduction, concurrently a vice chair of NAFA. So, how does that compare, your position in JCI with your position in NAFA?
Almost similar but different in terms of demographics, because with NAFA, we cater to purely Filipino Americans. So our advocacy are geared towards our representation as Filipino Americans, and I'm proud to be part of that as well. And I couldn't say no when we talk about advancement of Filipino Americans, because I am Filipino American, and so it's a great thing. But with JCI, it is international also. We cater to all sectors of the society, and in a way, it's different because we have sets of plan of actions that are separate from NAFA, but they are still into civic engagement, leadership development, and empowerment.
Mhm. So there are actually they actually intersect at some point. Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Steve, if one wants to be a member of your chapter specifically, how can they be a member, and what can they expect as members of JCI New Jersey?
If they are 18 to 40 years old, they can be considered as a regular member, because we have a particular age limit or age qualifications.
Mhm.
But to become a member, they are expected to be able to, or things that they will be able to appreciate being a member, is to be able to run effective meetings, be able to attend and participate in board meetings, be able to work on projects, be able to understand contracts, be able to understand proposals, be able to utilize resources, and work with partners. And the opportunity to be a leader is a great thing, because it is a platform also, and we have also mentoring. We have also sets of support system that will help them to become a leader. Yeah.
Great. Hindi na pala ako pwede dyan kasi overaged na ako.
By the way, if I may mention, the past members that we have were Bill Clinton, Al Gore,
Mm,
Nelson Rockefeller, and many dignitaries around the world. So it's a strong brand, and it's a great
it
active
is.
citizenship platform. Mhm.
Those are powerful names. So maybe a few years down the road, we will hear Stephen John Van der Rodar in the primaries.
No, mauna pa si Laura or Dr.
I
Winston.
may be hear your names anytime soon because of your leadership in your organizations. Steve, you mentioned earlier that you are also still practicing as a realtor in New York,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So I'm just really curious because there are some people who are watching us in our broadcast right now. We want to know, can you tell us about what do you notice or what have you observed is the buying appetite of the Filipino Americans for specifically Philippine properties? Like what properties do they usually invest in?
Yeah. Well, I would say that Filipino Americans really do buy Philippine properties. In fact, and the most people that I know, at some form, they have real estate investments. Although I would say that for those Phil-Ams who don't have strong Filipino ties in the Philippines, they're not much into it. But for those who have strong ties, they do. And I notice also that some of them are conservative in a way that they get into their regions, like the projects in the region. They more cater to that. Although I also know of a lot of investors who understand the market in the, say, central business district areas. They understand strong brands and they go for reputable developers. So there is a market, especially for those high earning and able to afford also professionals and business and entrepreneur Filipino Americans.
So there's really a mix, no? You're saying some of them actually prefer purchasing properties in their hometowns or provinces, and then
Yes.
while the
Uh-huh.
others are actually buying properties in CBDs in Metro Manila
Yeah.
or in the Vismin area. So Steve, do you have any advice you'd like to give to your fellow Filipino Americans?
Well, I would say that as a young leader, right, I would say that if you're between the ages of 18 to 40, then you may wish to consider being part of Junior Chamber International. If you would really want to grow professionally as well, at the same time be able to work on projects and be able to network with network and gain friends around the world and be able to experience youth in JCI, then JCI is for you.
Mhm. Okay, thank you very much, Steve. Laura, your message to the Filipino American community.
Okay, I would like to say that the reason why I joined NAPA New York is because I believe in its mission and vision. And I may be too much of an idealist, but I believe we can achieve peace and we can achieve unity. Peace and prosperity are attained through fundamental freedoms and freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of from want, freedom for the environment, and freedom from fear. Peace is possible if our voices are heard when we speak the truth. If we see God or whoever we conceive him to be in other human beings, if we don't worship greed or power, if we help save the planet and do something about climate change, peace is inevitable to those who offer peace. And lastly or finally, we can achieve peace, rather, we can achieve unity. And we can start by doing that in our own backyard. We can actually become more cohesive in our community. And if we also work together for a common good, common concerns such as health, education, going out to vote, advocating for anti-bullying, anti-racism, and many other concerns. And we have to be united. And this is what I've mentioned earlier. I've said this for last. We need to be united. And when we are united, there is nothing that we cannot do. Together, we can fight this coronavirus, and together we can build a better tomorrow. And case in point, and I'm not being paid to say this, but our host, Ortigas Land, its legacy culture, the Ortigas brand, the Ortigas organization, along with SM Prime and Ayala Land, created a formidable partnership that brought their success. So we can actually emulate them, not just as individual as business people, but also as people. So I leave you with the last lines of my favorite poem, the Desiderata. With
Mhm.
all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Beautifully said, Laura. Now let's go to Winston. Do you have any message or advice maybe to your fellow Filipino Americans watching right now?
So my advice would be that being a Filipino who is blessed to attain an American dream that was not a dream in the beginning, being that I'm already happy in the Philippines back then. But meeting someone who would be very special to create a life anew, things change and plans had to be revised. And still, I follow the course of nature and how I perform. I remain diligent in my training. I persevere, and then when the opportunity was just always in front, I don't hesitate. I grab the opportunity. And being a Filipino, known to be hard workers, happy at work, matiisin, masipag. I was that character in training. And that really rubbed around people who knew me in the beginning. And then when I started the practice, starting from scratch, I persevered. So 20 years had gone by, staying in a community that had really learned to love what I could offer, meeting new friends in the community. And then therefore, I see myself just grew in the community. The practice just naturally evolved. All I can say is that this is what brings us when we are working in a good having the goodness of your heart to do it, the best for others, so that in the next few years, in the middle of a busy practice, I still participate in all these involvements in the community, humanitarian work, even medical missions. Okay, so I see myself to continue this because this calling is a natural calling for any human being who has a kind heart. Reared by my parents who are also doctors, who taught me how to love the profession, love your patient, be true to them, be dedicated to them, and of course the family values that we learn. We Filipinos, we always cater to our own. So I stay the same, and when in every day that I come to work, at the end of the day, the last patient would say, Doc, bakit ang saya-saya mo lagi? And I will always say, because masaya. Kailangan mo ipakita na masaya. Baka dun ka gagaling. Baka dun ka mag-heal. So therefore, you really have to embrace what the world offers you. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it will come to pass. And always, of course, the faith for the Lord is always been my guide as well. Being an ex-seminarian, of course, I gotta be like I have to be happy what the future had already been lying ahead, because I've been there, and I've I've come to a conclusion that this is what I'm supposed to be, as somebody for everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. Very inspiring. Okay, so thank you again so much for being our first guests, Steve, Laura, and Doc Winston. So it was a pleasure to have you here and to hear your stories. Okay, and again, everyone, they are Dr. Winston O'Malley of Handang Tumulong Foundation, Inc., Dr. Laura Garcia of the New York chapter of NAFA, and Stevenson Derodar of the JCI, New Jersey. Before we end today's episode, let's hear a few words from Ortigas Land's international sales team, led by its Assistant Vice President and Head of Sales, Rose Morales.
Thank you very much, Ben, for that introduction, and thank you for being our first host for this episode. Once again, I'd also like to thank our speakers today, Dr. Winston, Dr. Laura, and Steve, for sharing the spotlight with us. I'm sure that a lot of our audience and viewers, particularly our kababayans both in the US and in other parts of the world, have learned a lot from each of your advocacy. I'd like to take this opportunity once again to introduce Ortigas Land, one of the oldest real estate developers in Metro Manila, with more than 89 years of experience in developing mixed-use real estate communities. So some of our more notable communities would include Green Hill Shopping Center, and of course the subdivision surrounding Ortigas, including Valle Verde, Green Meadows, to name a few. So I am joined in today by our international sales team, led by Rafa Escalambre and Colin Ko, who are here with us and who will be able to answer your inquiries in case you have questions about any of our project offerings, particularly the videos that we've shown you earlier. So before we end today's episode of Spotlight by Ortigas Land, I would like to share with you our latest video entitled Dwellings, which will give you a sneak peek of Metro Manila's newest lifestyle and retail destination, Capital Commons. Let's watch this.
Awesome morning, everyone. I am Joy, welcoming you all to the pilot episode of Ortigas Land's Dwellings, featuring the developments of Ortigas Land. Dwellings is a video series with episodes that will help you discover your dream home in the city. We will be going inside the interiors, look at the details, and explore the amenities of the properties. So stay tuned, because what you will see here will make you discover what Ortigas Land has to offer. Because of a fast-paced world, wellness is becoming more and more relevant to our lives. We want to come home to a place that will transport us to a world that slows down, relaxes, and rejuvenates. That place actually exists here. Today's episode takes you inside the design and details of a wellness residential tower in Capital Commons. This is Ortigas Land's Empress, created to give you a haven of relaxation for your life so that it can be healthy all the time. But before we get into that, please make sure to like this video, hit subscribe, click on the notification bell so that you'd be the first to know whenever we release new videos. And of course, do share this to your family and friends. Let us begin by talking about the community where Empress will rise, Capital Commons. Capital Commons is a 10-hectare mixed-use development located along Meralco Avenue, Corner Shop Boulevard, Ortigas Center, Pasig City. Surrounding this area are spots and establishments that make living here one of the most convenient areas for progressive individuals. Living at Capital Commons is also close to the main thoroughfare, which makes mobility such a breeze. Capital Commons will soon be even easier to reach with the BGC Ortigas link that will cut travel time from 1 hour to 12 minutes. The Metro Manila Subway, the first ever underground rapid transit line, will run from north to south of Manila and will be the country's direct airport rail link to the international airport. The train stops at Ortigas North and Ortigas South, making Capital Commons accessible to all. The location is near one of the country's premier medical institutions, the Medical City. It is also a stone's throw away to a number of academic institutions, such as St. Pedro Poveda College and Ateneo de Manila University School of Medicine and Public Health. The entire property prides itself in being a global luxury community within Ortigas Center, offering a well-balanced live-work-play lifestyle. Home to a myriad of residential towers, an abundance of establishments and greenscapes to get lost in, Capitol Commons is a progressive breathing space for anyone in search of a perfect location you can call home. One of the offerings of Ortigas land in Capitol Commons is Empress. Empress was envisioned as an oasis, a sanctuary amidst a city of clutter and congestion. Here, successful and thriving individuals can take full control of their time and space. Nothing imposing, nothing demanding. At Empress, color is utilized in the common areas as it is important in creating the psychological mood or ambience that supports the function of a space. The use of plants in spaces creates a natural and human-centered approach that improves work and living spaces with benefits to our health and well-being. At Empress, you'll be able to foster and nurture a connection with nature without leaving the convenience of your very own home. Empress is a 56-story residential tower that has 771 units and 4 offerings. A studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom which has special bi-level designed units. What sets Ortigas land apart are our designs. Each are mindful and responsive to the wants and needs of today's city dweller. Lavatory with vanity cabinet, integrated microwave oven cabinet, Wi-Fi router cabinet, built-in shower bench, built-in cabinets with lights, USB ports in all bedrooms, intercom with video phone, and task lights in kitchen cabinets. To top it all off, Empress boasts of a smart living program in each home. With sophisticated systems put in place, security and safety are integrated seamlessly into our residents' day-to-day lives. With this, you can control the following straight from your mobile device. Home Gateway, which links the smart home system to the cloud. Smoke Detector, which can give you real-time alerts when your unit's smoke detectors are triggered. Temperature Sensor. It enables you to conveniently manage and monitor multiple aircon units. Smart Light Switch. It allows you to take full control of your unit's light. Contact Sensor for Motion, which notifies you when something is amiss at home while you are away. Smart Door. This allows you to have keyless entry to your home. At Empress, it has all the smarts working for you. Work-life balance and wellness is further complemented by the amenity deck. It is designed with ideal spots for a perfect reprieve, each one allowing you to be in touch with the social, physical, and even spiritual complements to your life. Residence Lounge, Social Hall or Function Hall, Pamper Room, Fitness Hall, Dance Studio, Reading Room, Children's Playroom, the Active Zone, where you can find the lap pool, the kids pool, the lounge area, the outdoor social, and the quiet zone, where the garden and the wellness lawn are located. Now that you have a basic idea of what Empress offers, let us now check out the studio layout of Empress. So, let's go. Our studios range from 30 square meters to 46 square meters. With its bare space, it will allow you to imagine vast possibilities in personally designing your space. As you enter, you see your very own kitchen. With its polished details, it makes it functional and sophisticated. Everything is in order and clean. After all, a home without clutter is a home that calms your life. The utility area seamlessly blends with the entire aesthetics of the unit. The toilet and bath of the studio unit comes with single lavatory with vanity cabinet, single lever type faucet with mixer, water closet, shower set, half glass shower enclosure, toiletry niche, towel bar, toilet paper holder with cover, handheld bidet, multi-point water heater, wooden door, tiled flooring, painted ceiling, high porcelain tiles, and paint finished walls. Moving further inside your unit, you will discover your dining area, living area, and a compact yet spacious area where your bed can be positioned. In Empress, you have that option. The choice is yours. Balcony or no balcony, coming home to the wellness environment of Empress will surely help you slow down, relax, and find the energy to face another day. Your cozy Empress unit offers you a relaxing view of the city, a break from the noise and clutter. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed this quick tour of the Empress studio as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Now, if you want to know more about Empress or see it for yourself, go to www.ortigas.com.ph and talk to us. Again, please make sure to like this video, hit subscribe, click on the notification bell so that you'd be the first to know whenever we release new videos here on YouTube. And of course, share this to your friends and family. This has been Joy for Ortigas Lands Dwellings, showing you that your dream city living is now a reality. Thank you so much, and until next time.